And a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. So first order of business, let the record show that we do have a quorum with all members present. So first order of business is adoption of the agenda. Is anything from the board or from staff on the agenda that we need to change?
Yes, sir, Mr.
got
Chairman.
one?
Three things, one of which, it's more for information purposes. I handed you all a letter from Ms. Farnsworth. They would like for it to be submitted as part of the record. Someone may or may not read that. I know there are others here tonight that will speak during public comment regarding flock cameras. Secondly, item number 7 is an MOU. Mr. Wright provided some good edits. We had to take those over to the sheriff's office, get feedback. So that does not need action tonight. I would just say Mr. Gordon's going to bring you copies. When we get to that, we'll provide the update. I would just ask that you bring that back for August, so no action. And then lastly, I believe Kim is going to specify there's a set of minutes that we need to pull out separately, I believe,
That's right.
because we did not catch initially that Mr. Buchanan was not at, I think it was the July
July 7th.
special meeting, excuse me, July 7th. So that was just my updates, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
No amendments.
Yeah, as I was looking at the MOU, we didn't have necessarily an action item on that.
Correct.
So, all right, very well. Then I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? I hear none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, next is public comment. Is there any general public comment? If so, please just come over to the mic and give us your name and what part of the county you live in.
Hi, I'm Iden Farnsworth. I spoke last meeting. I'm from over in Rochelle, and I wanted to bring some more information about the flock cameras to light. Flock on their own website claims that they have a 96% accuracy rate. That means for every 100 cars, they have 4 misidentified plates. That could be someone who's innocent reading as guilty, someone who's guilty reading as innocent, so on and so forth. The problem with that comes not from them making mistakes, it's from the sheer volume of plates that they scan. They scan upwards of 20 billion plates a month at a rate of 4% misidentification. That is upwards of 800 million misidentifications a month, or 26 million a day. And this is not something we need to have here. We do not need our police officers misidentifying people. There have been over 161 cases of people in Los Angeles specifically in 2 months getting pulled over and getting held at gunpoint sometimes for crimes they didn't do because some license plate reader said that, hey, this one person's guilty. And the Institute of Justice has published that there are 21 specific ongoing cases involving ALPRs where people do not need to get proven guilty, but need to instead prove their innocence because some camera decided that they were guilty. This is not something we need. The budget could be used better. I would call on everyone here to remove the cameras at the earliest possible opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
My name is Kelly Farnsworth. I have someone speaking for me.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, this is Kelly Farnsworth, and my name is Colin Beers. We're both residents of Madison County. Kelly is here tonight to urge the board to reject any current or future funding, contracts, or renewals for flock safety automated license plate readers. While public safety is a priority we all share, bringing a privatized mass surveillance dragnet into Madison County represents an unacceptable financial risk and an unnecessary erosion of our rural privacy. Point number one, fiscal irresponsibility. First, let's look at the financial reality. Flock cameras are not a one-time equipment purchase. They operate on an expensive, reoccurring annual subscription model. Every dollar we send to a multi-billion-dollar tech corporation in Atlanta is a dollar siphoned away from our own community. Our taxpayer funds are much better spent directly supporting our local sheriff's deputies, improving county emergency infrastructure, or funding community programs. Furthermore, localities across the country are discovering that once you're locked into this tech ecosystem, the vendors hold all the leverage to hike subscription prices upon contract renewal. Point two, loss of rural privacy and autonomy. Second, this technology compromises the very reasons many of us choose to live in Madison County. We value our independence, our peace, and our privacy. Flock cameras do not just target criminals. They log, track, and store the movements of every single innocent resident driving down US 29, Route 230, or Route 231. This turns our peaceful local corridors into a permanent corporate tracking network. We do not need a system that monitors law-abiding citizens going to the grocery store, church, or work under the guise of safety, creating a pattern of life database without a warrant. Point three, corporate control and precedent. Third, we must question the outsourcing of our public oversight. By contracting with Flock, the county surrenders local data to a private company that retains broad rights to use our data to train its propriety AI models. We also inherit their cybersecurity risks, creating a centralized target for data breaches. We would not be alone in drawing the line here. Other Virginia localities, like Harrisonburg and Elkton, have looked closely at the data, privacy issues, and the high ongoing costs, and they chose to reject or remove these networks entirely. Madison County should show the same leadership. Conclusion, mass surveillance does not preserve our rural way of life. It fundamentally alters it. I ask this board to protect our wallets and our privacy by voting against any agreement with Flock safety. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Anything back there online, Federico? All right. All right, very well. Then we will close public comment and move to the consent agenda, which we need to pull out the July 7th minutes. So could I get a motion to approve? Well, let's see. I'll tell you what. Let's go through the supplemental for the school board first. Mr. Weekly, if you would just explain that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you may recall, we have annual budget work sessions with the school. However, their timing and scheduling of budgets, public hearings, approvals or adoptions vary from your schedule. The last several years, generally they will have their budget work session, they will have their public hearing and adopt the budget before they come to your first workshop. While certainly that's a right, sometimes that can lead to discrepancy in how budgets are published, because until they transmit a new budget, even though you all have told us, hey, this year, reduction from the original request by 75,000, which was well established. We talked about that, health insurance initiatives. And that would still allow them 75,000 for their strategic initiative fund, I think it was called. They had not submitted an amended budget. They have now done that. So Jennifer prepared a supplemental based on her conversation with Tina. Kim, if you go to, you can see a note there that it's a decrease in $110,080. But go to the next page, please. There's a note at the very bottom of that next page. There you go. I want to point out that there is no new local money being requested, so no new local funds or increase requested by the county. This is simply recognizing the adjustment that the Board of Supervisors made at their budget workshop and also a part of your budget adoption, as well as I think they had some reductions in some of their state funding. So overall, as Jennifer pointed out at the bottom of supplemental appropriation number 1,
So they had to go on what they thought the state might do, and this is the result of that. So the county money, like Mr. Weekly said, what we voted on and appropriated from the county side didn't change any. So, all right, any questions on the supplemental? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda to include the minutes from July 1st and the supplemental appropriation number 1.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda, less the minutes from 7/7/2026.
Very well. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Now we'll go to the July 7th minutes. Need a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve February 7th. Sorry, July 7th.
All right.
Minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the July 7th minutes. Any further discussion on that? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. Opposed? You abstain? Okay, we have one abstention. All right, motion carries. We have no special appearances, no public hearings, so we will go to old business with some VDOT updates, which I'm sure we'll all be intrigued by.
You may recall, I think you get a monthly report from VDOT, but also the resident engineer comes to your meeting quarterly. Since they came to the 6-year secondary road plan public hearing, which I believe was in May, they are not scheduled to come back until September. So that's a pretty long period. I know there were some outstanding things. So I had a conversation with Ms. Shepherd, I guess about a week or so ago, while I was sitting in the paving of Route 29. It's
You
spawned-
stuck in the traffic?
Yeah. From Sheets Light to McDonald's lights. I mean, it needs to be done. We just talked a little bit about communication on the way to the fair. We used to get weekly scheduled newsletter. So you would get at the end of the week what they were going to do the following week. And if there's anything significant, myself, Brian, whoever, we could share that with public safety or dispatch. So something significant, you can plan your route accordingly. So that has now been corrected. I can go in and see the link. It's not as easy as it was before, but we have access, so thankfully. I did ask about the swinging bridge on Lindsay Lane, because that's been a while. She informed me they finally got the last landowner permission. So in the next few months, that their demolition should occur. You also may recall Supervisors Sharman and Jewett and myself did a ride around with VDOT about what we would call a few intersections that have high safety concerns. All of those, I believe, are along the Route 609 Hoover Road corridor. Those were the intersections of Hoover Road and Ridgeview Road, Hoover Road and Arrington Mountain Road. I skipped the one in between, Hoover Road and I think it's Novum Church Road. She did send me an email on Friday. I saw that while I was away. I didn't update your packet. Basically saying that the plats that I pulled from the courthouse records and provided them, they're going to review them to see if they need additional right-of-way or not. I'm not an engineer. It looked like from me that they had enough to maybe do what they needed to do. But I told her, just let me know. As we met in the conference room after that, right around, I'm committed on behalf of the county. If we need to knock doors, I'll knock doors, send letters, do what we need to do. They did indicate that even if they had a right of way, they probably would still need to contact the landowner if a fence needs to be moved or a bank needs to be shaved back. So that is a top priority of ours. I know there's been at least one recent accident at the intersection of Ridgeview and Hoover Road. So, sometimes you don't know what caused that. Maybe somebody not paying attention, maybe it was sight distance, but we believe those intersections need to be addressed, and I will stay on it until we get a final answer from VDOT or notifying landowners. Let's see, I talked about the swinging bridge. Again, you see the paving on 29. What I shared on 29 was we realized paving needs to occur. We need to be updated. There were several intersections that were closed at the time. I wanted to educate myself a little bit on that project. One of the questions I asked, why wasn't it done at night? And do they have any restrictions on length of road of activity per day? The answer to both of those were no, because that would have to be something part of the contract. If there's nothing restricting them or special limitations, they can go pave a CFIT. They're doing a great job. I think it's quality work being done. It's just not having that communication. If you have 3 or 4 intersections closed, that's very difficult, especially not, and it was in our commercial area. It was at the Fair Week, Fairground Road, that had a state police sitting there. So it was just high concern. And then last, I don't know if I made it into my update, but they did mention a bridge replacement on Moon Road. And that contract should be awarded soon, so that work should maybe start in September or October. That road ultimately leads into Rappahannock, but there are a few residents or at least that bridge is in Madison. You cross over and eventually you get into Rappahannock County. So, but we do most of the first response to that area anyway. So we will have to make sure VDOT, along with anything we need to do, message that to the residents so we have a plan, like we did similar to the road further up Nethers, where we either we're staging people or there's an alternate route out. We can't have people blocked in, definitely for emergency services. So just wanted to give you those updates again, because it's going to be a long time between May and when she returns in September. If there's any follow-ups or additional things you'd like me to point out, I'm happy to do that between now and then. One thing that else comes to mind, and then I'll zip it. I did speak with her about my concern of wood debris. I'll say wood debris. I'm sure there's other debris along the roadside. I just happen to travel. We travel Oak Park all the time. They did dispense crews this week. I have seen a lot of wood being chipped up or different things. She thought originally that had finalized in May, and I said, no, there are other roads. I can make a list if you like, but generally folks ride roads from their departments to see that. So if you see any of that piled up on the road anywhere, any of your constituents, let me know. We'll point that out to them. But I do think it's time to clean up roads, not just mowing it around it so it's there the next year or it's interrupting with drainage of our road. So that's all I had on VDOT, unless you have items or questions.
Yeah, John, did she say anything about before, as you come out of Ruckersville from the county line to the new roundabout, which seems to be in a lot worse condition than what they just did? Did she mention anything about when
You
that
say
might be?
roundabout?
Yeah, where not the
You mean
roundabout,
the
sorry,
J?
they're at Shelby Road.
The J.
Oh, I saw a
There's
comment
little
online. Were
squares
you
cut
talking
out
about
all through there, yeah.
talking about the poor shape of the pavement.
Yes.
I have not, thank you for that, sir. I need to follow up with that. I saw a comment online, but that made me question too, because that is the worst, that is the worst part of 29, from the county line, probably close to Shelby Road. I know you get by the lamb farm, it's awful there. I will follow up with her about that, sir.
All right, anything else? All right, sure.
So if I can get that on. So I have a question, Jonathan. So we wait until September to hear back from Ms. Carey in order to know about these intersections that,
Yeah, I'm not saying, good question. I want to clarify. I'm not saying that she may not have an answer before then. That's her next scheduled appearance with the board. So that's when you would hear from her directly. But she may have something for me before September. So if she does, I will update the board. We'll keep it as an old business item, and that way you know the progress. Again, if it turns out where it needs to be, we're knocking doors, I'm here to do that. But I need them to review, and it should be as simple as, putting up a road sign so they can safely get out there and measure center line in, depending on what their easement is, and make that determination. But I do not know their schedule and when they're going to go do that. She just said, thanks for the information. They were going to review it and make sure they didn't need additional right-of-way. But she will be here in September, but it is possible she may have some feedback before then.
and we all know in the fall of the year, that road gets a whole lot busier. So I'm
Yeah, the
just-
only thing I saw, and I'm assuming it was them, not the landowner, at the intersection of Arrington Mountain and Hoover Road, it looked like some vegetation had been sprayed up against the fence line. I don't travel out of that road a lot, so I don't know if that's really done it, but a lot of these things just need to be either shaved down hills or banks.
You still have to pull out into
Yeah,
the
and at the end of the day, if it needs to be a smart scale project, then just let us know. We can apply for it. I think you can do that every 2 years, but definitely need to have improvements.
Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Anything further?
No, and we had talked about the intersections, and I don't know, Nancy, if you wanted to go, but I volunteered to go with him. He has to door knock. That way, we can both get chased off of properties at the same time.
That's a good idea.
I think it would be good to go.
Yeah.
But anyway, with those intersections, something needs to be done with
It
them.
is, I travel that every day, more than one time, and it's just, you get out there sometimes and you go, can I beat it? Or you
Yeah.
just go,
The update that she did mention, Ms. Shorman, they did take into consideration the other end of Novum Church Road. I guess that's Novum Church Road, Novum Road, and Parish Road. Did I have all that right? They may look at traffic direction there, maybe stop signage. So I'll forward that email around. So if you have any follow-up, just individually, please, email me if you like that. I think anything there would be an improvement, whether it's stop signs, rumble strips. Coming off of Novum Church Road to either go on to Parish or make a left or right on the Novum Road is, you're gambling. It's
Well,
putting it nicely.
Just for a little personal testimony there, we were out on our bikes the other day and we were coming from Novum Church, coming down across that. We were stopped at that stop sign talking, Mike and I were, and we saw one, what do I call them, side-by-sides? They're real noisy, come up the road and we hear nothing. Mike steps out into that and there's a truck right there. And I mean, it was, you look in that mirror, you think you've got yourself covered, and, that ain't, I ain't willing to die on that hill, so I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm anxious to have something done, not just for us. I mean, we're on them all day, every day, but, there's a lot of people at that church. There's a lot of people coming and going
Yeah.
back in there, so anyway.
All righty. All right, we'll move on to the voter referendum update. Mr. Weekly.
Yes, and Mr. Wright may have something to add, he may not, but I do want to thank him and recognize his work. After the board approved the resolution for the voter referendum, this is for the additional 1% local sales tax to be decided by the voters. Mr. Wright drafted in the, I believe it's called the court order or the petition, I may have those wrong, were drafted, signed, and filed. Judge Franzine has signed off on that. We did have receipt, and the registrar has been notified by our office, but as well as I'm sure, my understanding of the process is anytime something of that nature happens, the circuit court clerk notifies the registrar. I know circuit court's got a requirement to advertise for 3 weeks. I think Hannon had some advice on advertising. Would you like to share your recommendation?
If you'd quickly explain what this referendum is about too, Hannah.
So the referendum allows for up to and including 1% of sales tax, not for certain items, grocery items, personal hygiene items, but for other sales, up to a 1% tax can be levied. And then that money can be used for school renovation or construction. Does that answer the question about what it's for?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. And then I think what we could do is sort of a, I'll say, politicking, but informational, making the citizens aware of, without taking a side, of this referendum. Because, so, this board took a resolution to ask the circuit court to put it on the ballot. The circuit court judge entered that order, so it's going to be up to the people on November 3 whether or not they want to pass this referendum. And then it'll be up to the board, if they did, to pass an ordinance imposing that tax. So we're looking probably next July, probably, at when this could go into effect. But I think these have a pretty good passage rate in terms of sales taxes going to schools, both when it's happened in Virginia. I think there have been 8 localities that have allowed for it, and outside of Virginia. But I think that's all I got.
So individually, we can express whether we like this or not, but as a board, we cannot, and will not.
Right.
Now, so I was at the seafood event out at Hoover Ridge this past Saturday, put on by Parks and Rec, and I thought, okay, I got a bunch of people within this fence line here, so I started going around and asking people what they thought about the referendum. Most of them didn't know anything about it at all, had never heard anything about it. The ones that had, they go, they would say, I'd be in favor of it if I knew what it was for. And I think, if I understand correctly, you guys are working on that yesterday. So if the citizens of this county knew that this money was gonna go for high school renovation or Wetzel Middle School renovation, they all expressed saying that they would be in favor of it. But, lacking that, not.
And when it
Yeah.
will end, right?
Huh?
And when it will end.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They didn't want to know when it would end, yeah.
20 years.
And that's 20 years or the end of the,
2047, I think, or 2046,
yeah.
it'll be, I think
So-
it'll end up being about 19 years.
So anyhow, I think, I'm certainly going to be talking to people, informing them as to how it's working, so, and.
Well, our town hall is
It's
going to be
the town
presented
hall. Right.
August 11th, so people need to come out or watch online.
Yeah, so you all out there, August 11th at 6 o'clock here. We're going to have a town hall that's going to talk about not only that, but some other things too, right, Jim?
Oh, yeah, we're looking, it's an overview of our yearly activities with the Economic Development Committee. And one of the pieces of that will be to put together the analysis and use case for the 1% sales tax, so that citizens do have an understanding of what the ramifications will be, what it's for. We met with the school system today. Obviously, there's a lot of things needs long-term, and somebody's going to pay for it. one way or the other, and we need to just let people know that if they adopt it, it's gonna mean lower property taxes. If we don't adopt it, it's gonna mean higher property taxes. I mean, that's gonna be the bottom line based on what we've done so far. But it's gonna be an impartial analysis and let people make their own decision.
Mr. Jewett, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And it may be sort of too big, I don't know how hard it is. Can you sort of cite revenue, I'll say income streams for the schools? I mean, in terms of where that's gone from state and federal funding, has it gone up, has it gone down, or at least as a percentage of the budget?
With regard to operations or with regard to capital expenses?
I would say capital, but I don't know.
Well, one of the things that we were talking about today, and this has been going on in the General Assembly, is they keep talking about more money coming from the state to build schools, to support schools. And I think that was tied a lot to what they're going to do with data center taxation. So it's up in the air. We don't really know. And the county did get an additional, what, 1.1 million from the state for the school system for operations this year?
I think just under 1.1, yes.
Okay. So that, we'll do that to the degree that we can do that. The problem is, as you know, when you're trying to forecast out 20 years, it's just like,
Well, and I think that's, I guess maybe the point I was getting at is that sometimes these funding sources are less predictable than you'd like in terms of
absolutely.
whoever's in charge and deciding where the money goes.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I wish to add, and we'll look into this, I know you specify the date, so we have that, it's a 20-year. What the challenge would be, and Mr. Jewett and I discussed this today at our meeting with the superintendent and director of maintenance, is we have their 5 or 20-year outlook. It's based on the facility assessment report. We have a similar system, and it spits out. That just assumes, though, a lot of things. Mr. Jewett asked a very good question today. Well, if you were doing renovations or new or whatever, what would you forego from this list? As you all know, the Joint CIP Committee met with the schools several months ago. They agreed to commission a A&E study, an actual study of facilities for middle school, high school. And I believe the timeline that was given to us, that report may not come until the end of September. Early voting, I believe, starts September the 18th, runs through October 31st, and then, of course, you have an election day in November. I don't believe the ballot question gets to the detail handing of what projects you're going to do. It just specifies what this percentage is, not to exceed and so forth, and the purpose it will be used for.
Well, isn't the ballot question in?
It's
our
in the
package?
order. If you go next page, Kim.
Yeah, there's the question. The question, should Madison County be authorized to levy a general retail sales tax at a rate not to exceed 1%, provided the revenue from the sales tax authorized by Virginia Code 58.1-605.1 shall be used solely for capital projects for the construction or renovation of public schools in Madison County, with such tax to expire upon repayment of any bonds or loans issued to fund such projects by July 6th, 2046, or in the case of capital projects not financed by bonds or loans, sales tax shall expire on July 6, 2046. So that is the question that will appear.
So what I want to add to that, not meaning to confuse it, this will be the question that appears, as you stated, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully it's successful. If it is, when you do determine a project and do a bond or whatever you do, if this is all hypothetical, you would then state your project and the date of expiration with the amount in that resolution to pass. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. I'm just kind of explaining next steps if we are successful at the ballot.
Now,
But
Mr.
to clarify, you can individually speak for or against, if you're out having coffee or shrimp or whatever you're doing, We did mention this to Anna today, and she got her legal opinion. So that's not infringing upon your First Amendment rights. You just do not speak as a board because there's different guidelines for that. So the material that you circulate at a meeting needs to be neutral, which I know it will be. We've seen plenty of your work, sir, over the years. So when you're as a board, it's neutral. If you're out there in the public at a pancake breakfast or whatever, have at it whichever way you want to go.
And just to follow up, Mr. Wright, we have to have some type of number to justify saying that this is what we're looking at, total expenditures. And I think the 20-year aggregate projection is $112,500,000.
If you included, so that would be all
Sure.
4 schools, the school board, and the alt-ed building.
And then one of the things that we asked was, well, let's suppose it's build versus renovate. Would that $112 million still be kind of a ballpark figure if we decided to build versus renovate? Meaning building a complex for the Wetzel Middle School combination and high school. And I guess the sort of the answer we got that it would be ballpark, it might actually even be less. But it's just, again, 20 years out, we have an idea, and this is based on their program, their facilities program software, and, you know, that's just a ballpark. That's a guidance. That's a place to start. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to be spending that much. You know, the other thing I asked about was enrollment. All of these things have to go into this report, just to give people an idea of why why they could make a decision to justify voting yes for the 1% sales tax. I'm going to circulate the report to you before anybody sees it.
And the facility study that they're looking at, I'll say this because I know we know, but for the public to know, the option they're supposed to be looking at, again, this is all hypothetical, there's been no monies committed, would be renovation of middle school, high school campus, a combination of renovation and additions to that, or point blank new facility. And the question would be where. You asked a very good question to them today, well, what do you do with the old? And I think if you're going to do new, that has to be part of the plan. Another point to add in there, I think you got to weigh in what else is being included. If it's, we understand pavement, stormwater, piping, all that, but if you're talking on facilities like sports facilities, you know, what is all? Because that's going to vary in your bottom line ticket of what you may want to debt service if you choose to do that. We have to get the report first. Again, I think their timeline anticipates the end of September. I'll circulate that to the whole board. I know we initially
Is
got
that the
that.
same, did y'all get the same information that we got at the
Yes,
joint
sir.
meeting earlier this week?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I'll circulate that to the whole board. What it is, members Sharman and Buchanan, I know you haven't seen it yet, we'll send it. It has a printout of each school and what it looks like current through 20 years, the anticipated maintenance cost of those facilities. So, and then they got an overall number, which is at $100+ million that Mr. Jewett spoke of. It just gives you a sense of where we're at.
Anything?
I just have one question, I think.
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's just one.
Sure.
Anyway, where it's reading here, notice is to be published in a newspaper having general circulation in Madison County. Which newspaper do we do that in?
So
Good question. It's going to be, the clerk will make that distinction about which one she wants to use or if she wants to use one. But they have to, there's a list that's approved in the circuit court to qualify as, I think we've got.
the Piedmont Journal Recorder is recognized.
Progress.
So it's all online? Yeah, okay. Okay.
It's a lost art.
One other question. Says such publication shall be made once a week for 3 consecutive weeks prior to the election. Now, are we gonna do this before early voting starts?
So that part is entirely in order to the clerk of the court, and what she's gonna do, in terms of her advertising responsibility. So I'm not totally sure we don't actually control it. I would imagine it's gonna be.
I mean, as soon as you can get the people aware and educated on it, yeah.
That might be why we decide to try to advertise something similar to that.
Right.
As county.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think I think as a board, we want to direct staff to get that going, to advertise the voter referendum, per the requirements like you put in your
Yeah,
memorandum.
we want to get the word out.
Yeah.
I mean, we can advertise it as
Yeah.
long as you want. I would recommend it at least 2 weeks for something like this. Certainly, I can check with LEDA and see what timeline they're going to use, so you know that. If September 18th is when it starts, I mean, I definitely think we should have it circulated a couple weeks prior to that, so it's fresh in people's minds. And there's nothing stopping us from, posting that notice on our doors, up there at the courthouse, library. We can do those things, post office.
And if you got to turn the ballot over,
Well, there's 4 referendums on that
yeah,
this time, so.
yeah. Well, maybe that's a good thing that there's that many referendums, instead of just one. All right, anything further on this from the board?
So there's a recommended action. If you
Yeah.
want to do that, Mr. Chairman, just give us direction and we will carry that out.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, yeah, Hannah.
I would just, I think, safe to proceed with the, a copy of this goes to Richmond, State Election Commission, and then also, Secretary of
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and do a motion to direct staff to publicly advertise the voter referendum per the requirements of the state code and provide any future updates to the board. Let's do a motion on that. Yes,
Instead of just per the requirements of the state code,
yeah,
can you just direct us to, well, I guess you mean the non-partisan,
right,
I'm sorry, I thought,
that part.
got
Yeah.
it, my bad. No correction.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Motion to,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we direct staff to publicly advertise the voter referendum per the requirements of the state code and provide any future updates to the Board of Supervisors as available.
I second it.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Wright. All right. Next, order of business, we got new business on, the federal grant acceptance. Mr. Gordon.
Yes, sir. Sometime back, the sheriff's office applied for the community funding through Congressman Vindman's office. They were successful in getting that. The award was $500,000. Comes in through a congressional appropriation, which was passed into law. Part of that is you have to go through a grant. They put it in the grant bucket. So you have to apply for the grant just like you would with anything else. This particular grant runs through the COPS grant. Miss Sarah McKnight, Captain Sarah McKnight, excuse me, has been working on that diligently. She's carried the football on that for sure. One of the first processes we had to do was create an IFB, which we did. We got back 8 responses, 7 of which were complete. The 8th one was missing a timeline on when this would be completed. The reason that was important is it's a 24-month build. So we had to have it done in that time frame. With that being said, we're in this first board reports, we're asking for the board to accept or not accept the grant funding to fund the IFB proposals for the command post.
All right. Very well. So questions for Mr. Gordon on this?
Yeah, I have to ask.
Okay.
Mr. Gordon, what is estimated yearly maintenance cost on this unit? Is it,
It's like any other piece of apparatus. The first year or two won't be high. After that, you have hydraulic cylinders because it does have a hydraulic bump out on it. You have Starlink capability on it. You have network capability on it, radio capability on it, and then the runnings of the vehicle itself. The maintenance won't be astronomical, but it won't be cheap either. Part of the MOA that we'll cover here in just a few minutes that the sheriff's office put up is they have agreed to budget that in their budget
Okay.
annually.
all right, thank you.
I can't imagine that.
Like softwares.
Yeah, I can't imagine that being over. I mean, as it gets longer year life, but, the first 10 years, I can't see it being over $5K.
Depends on how much gets used.
Yeah.
If we
So
use it and
no-
exercise it, it won't be bad.
Because it's going to be your annual subscriptions, as Brian mentioned, whether it's Starlink or whatever, and if you have any other software in there for maintenance updates. But other than that, you're changing the oil maybe once a year, depends on how often you drive it, and then tires when it needs it. You need to drive so it don't get dry rotted. So the determination is going to be where we store this.
Yeah.
That's going to be where the money comes in.
All right. Anything further for Mr. Gordon on this, or I'll entertain a motion for the acceptance of the grant money?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the federal grant money for this
For the 500,000?
500,000, yeah.
All right.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the federal grant money for the total of 500,000 for the procuring the mobile command center. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. All right, now to the notice of award. Mr. Gordon?
Yes, sir. So we formed a committee very early on while we were looking at this. It consisted of the Sheriff's Office, Fire Department, and County Administration, along with Emergency Management. We formed that committee. We worked out an IFB. We solicited that on EVA for bids. As mentioned, we got 8 back, 7 of which were complete. We graded on criteria for compliance, costs, delivery and training, experience, and support. If you'll scroll up a little bit, we actually have the scoring sheet here that we looked at. We had really 8 very, very competitive bids. It's going to be the next one. So everybody came in really, really tight when we were scoring these. One of the highest bids actually had the highest score, which is the JHB group. But for what we're looking at is what the value was. What the cost came in versus what you got, the design of the vehicle. The committee liked this one beyond the other ones that we saw. The JHB group came in at $499,123, which is extremely close. There is no room for change orders there, which we're certain that there won't be, even if we need one at that rate. But that's the pleasure of the committee, and what we're asking for is to give notice of award to that group.
All right, questions for Mr. Gordon on this? All right.
It's JHB.
Yeah, JHB, so
Okay.
entertain a motion to approve the notice of award to JHB.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the award for the mobile command post to JHB.
I'll second.
All right, very well, we have a motion and a second to approve the award to JHB Group for the command center. Is there any further discussion on that?
Just want to point out
For-
and thank
for the-
legal, Hannah has fully reviewed this.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure with the IB and the tabulation, so it has, went through legal scrutiny.
And,
Parliamentary, could we either add or amend that motion to the notice of award? Approve that,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
notice of award and award.
all right, so that amendment, all
And
right with you?
Mr. Chairman, I would have one thing to add. We are going through the grant process. It's been passed into law.
Right.
As an appropriation. It's also the federal government. We want to make sure there's something in JHB's contract that says if we don't receive this money, then we're not going forward with this project. And we're going to work with Mr. Wright to make sure that's in there. I want to hold this price. I don't want to allow it to escalate, but at the same time, I don't want to sign a contract and the Fed say, nah, just kidding. And now we're on the hook for $500,000.
Okay,
So if you, to that point, the motion, we try to capture all that, the amount, the awarded who to, with the understanding that it would be based on funding availability, because again, we got the nice big,
yeah,
big check, but it hasn't hit the bank. And also it gives our office and the attorney the right at your direction to sign the contract.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I withdraw my previous motion with regard to JHB contract.
very well. So now we'll entertain another motion.
You want me to read all that? Okay, I
Yeah.
can do that. All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the notice of award for the mobile command post be made to JHB Group for the amount of $499,123. The motion includes the authorization of the county administrator and county attorney to enter into a contract with JHB Group with the understanding that the contract will have a provision that procurement will only occur once the county receives the federal funding in November 2026.
I'll second that.
Very
Thank
well,
you,
we have a
sir.
motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. And so now we go to the MOU.
All right, Mr. Chairman, so part of
Yeah.
this grant process was that this had to be utilized by the county in its entirety from an emergency services perspective. So to that end, the sheriff's office has drafted an MOU that everybody will sign, county administrator, fire department, so on and so forth, granting use of this and how it will be utilized moving forward. It goes into everything, maintenance cost, housing, certified drivers, so on and so forth. So they've put this together. The fire department has made edits. Mr. Wright has made edits on our behalf. We've looked through it. We feel like it's a good document. Again, this is something that's new. I expect revisions to this in years to come. So I think we're in a good spot with it. It's up for the discussion of the board.
All right, so I looked at the MOU that's in our package, so in 5 words or less, what changed? Anything major?
Nothing major. Just making clear that the sheriff's office kind of owns it and is in charge of the cost to repair and maintain it. Those are the changes, really. But the MOU is really just an agreement for everybody to play nice with how this is going to be used, particularly in emergencies.
So it looked like if the fire department, like for the fire that we had, 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago now? Almost.
Yeah.
So the fire department would ask the sheriff for the mobile command unit?
Anytime this particular unit will be deployed, we'll enter what is known as unified command.
Yeah.
Where the fire department will have a command structure, the EMS will have a command structure, the sheriff's office, emergency management, VDM, federal resources. We'll all be there. We're not gonna bring this out for your run-of-the-mill car accident or small fire. Just mainly because once you bring it out, the event's probably gonna be done on something small like that.
Yeah.
This is gonna be something that's fairly large in timeframe. So anybody, it's mainly the MOUs be who can go get it. If
Right.
it's a law enforcement centric situation where the major and the sheriff are already out on the scene, they may not have time to come back to town to get it, so we may get a fire department member to get it. The MOU is gonna decide who is certified to drive those things. Make sure we don't end up wrapping it around a tree.
Okay.
And I'm sorry for over talking, Mr. Gordon. Kim's pulled up, and we've got it in red, the suggestions, whether they're deletions or edit. We can go through each one if you wish, Mr. Chairman, so you all can see that. It's your pleasure.
Is there a handout denoted like that?
No, because it would mess with the font. It was gonna change that, but we can send it around to an email so you can see it in red form and then bring it back in August if you want, or if you're comfortable now, it's your pleasure.
All right. You want to go ahead and let Mr. Wright tell us what the changes are? Or does everybody rather take it home and look at it?
I don't know, is there really any need to do that?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this has been vetted by all the right people. Okay, go ahead and tell us what the changes were, Mr. Wright.
The first one was just making sure for when the sheriff department designates their people in charge of deploying this thing, that they just give all the other agencies by name who it is and 24-hour contact information. One's a typo, and then the other one's just saying that sheriff's office is going to be responsible for maintenance and repair. And that we're not, nobody's waiving any sovereign immunity as part of this. Those are the changes.
All right. So, I looked at it before as well, and I dragged it over into AI just for laughs. And it didn't seem to have any problem with it. So,
I did compare it just to some other jurisdictions to see, some are so specific, they talk about who's gonna hold the keys to them.
uh-huh,
I didn't quite that level.
all right.
It looked in line with a lot of other jurisdictions.
So, Mr. Wright, Mr. Weekly, Mr. Gordon would be, all right, if we just went ahead and
If you feel comfortable
Agreed
with
with it.
passage
Yeah,
tonight, it's
sure.
fine.
Passage.
Again, I think it's been through the
yeah,
review of those who are operating it and the legal side.
all right. Very well, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the MOU on the command center.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the MOU for the mobile unit.
All right?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to, on the memorandum of understanding to pass that. Any further discussion?
And Mr. Chairman, may I add, just for the record, the MOU you are voting to approve is the ones that recognize Mr. Wright's edits.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Okay, number 8, the Board of Zoning Appeals appointment recommendation. Ms. Turner, is that you?
All right, give me just a moment. I'll pull it on the screen. Alrighty, there is a vacancy for the alternate position on the Board of Zoning Appeals, also known as BZA, with a term, an unexpired term expiring at the end of December of 2030. We advertised for this position, and we currently have one application from Ross Shiflett. Staff recommends the board make a recommendation to the Circuit Court to appoint Ross Shiflett to the alternate BZA position for the remainder of the unexpired term, ending December 31st, 2030.
All right. There's probably no one up here that doesn't know Ross, right?
Yeah, we know Ross.
So he's got quite a bit of experience. He was on the board, he was on the planning commission, and, you know, longtime Madison folks. So I see no reason why we wouldn't make that recommendation. So I'd entertain a motion to recommend that the Circuit Court appoint Ross Shiflett to serve as the alternate member of the Madison County Board of Zoning Appeals for the remainder of the unexpired term ending December 31st, 2030.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that the Circuit Court appoint Ross Shiflett to serve as the alternate member of the Madison County Board of Zoning Appeals for the remainder of the unexpired term ending December 31, 2030.
All right,
Second.
very well. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, motion carries. Discussion. We have no discussion on the agenda. No information correspondence. Back to public comment. So we'll open it up again for public comment. All right, nothing back there? All right, hearing none, then we will close this second session of public comment. We have no closed session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed nay. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.